Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching as always. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Do hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment if you would. And if you've already subscribed, hit the notification bell. Chris joins us once again, our kind of all around expert as far as security and militias and things like that. Chris, first of all, thank you so much for giving us some time.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's always great to be on your show, Barry. It really is.
We've got some viewers that have people in Haiti, and we've got some viewers that are just concerned about what's going on in Haiti. The mainstream media seemed to report what happened and then moved on. The president of Haiti was assassinated. So, how do things work? What's happening over there now?
Okay, well, currently, from my understanding, they're going to be looking for the assassins. But let's back things up.
Okay.
To maybe let's say 2016, 2017, so people get a full understanding of like what's going on in that country.
Okay.
Many of your viewers know, and maybe your viewers don't know that in Haiti, it's a very poor country, all right. But once again, there's a lot of there's gold mines in Haiti, which I'm sure a lot of people are not aware of.
There are gold mines in Haiti.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. There are gold mines. But I really don't think this has anything to do with that. But I'm just, from what you see on television and how they portray Haiti, it's not, very nice. Now, I've been in Haiti numerous times.
Right.
All right. So I'm talking from my personal experiences, from one dealing with our government, our embassy in Port-au-Prince, but then also, trying to conduct business with the Haitian government, dealing with the Haitian army, which of course our government doesn't have a relationship with. So our government has a relationship with the Haitian National Police, but not with the Haitian National Army. So
interesting.
Yeah, and the reason is because of all the atrocities the Haitian National Army has done in the past. So I think our government was pretty much saying, let's just cut ties with this group because we can't train them based on human rights violations. That's just my take on it.
Okay.
So, but our government does train their police through it's called International Narcotics and Law Enforcement, INL. But the thing about it was, it's even in 2014, I was slated to be contingent commander of all U.S. law enforcement advisors in Haiti, and I was there actually to train the Haitian National SWAT team at the command level, but I turned the position down to go somewhere else. So even when guys getting ready to take that position, I went to do what we call leaders recon in Haiti, just to find out, what the situation was like, even before, I decided to take the position, because you just don't want to go into a position cold. You want to have as much information as possible. And, from the first time I went, I was kind of like, well, I don't really know if I even want to do this one. This one's, a little bit, a little bit more dangerous. One, they speak Creole. I ain't speaking any Creole at all. Everyone says they speak French, but actually they don't. They speak Creole. And in their conversations, it'll start off in French, but it'll end up in Creole. So, I didn't speak Creole at all. But going on to the problems in Haiti, there's a lot of gang violence. Okay, a lot of kidnappings, but the infrastructure in Haiti is really poor. It's very poor. There's really no running water. Okay, there's no electricity. Right. So every once in a while you'll have sporadic electricity. Okay. So what happened with CARICOM, and that's the Caribbean Community, for those that people don't know, and OAS, it's the organization. I think it's the Organization of American States. It's more or less the international community, had dumped a whole bunch of money into Haiti. Okay. Now, that money was supposed to be used for the infrastructure, But of course, everyone knows, once you dump all that money into a country, it goes in everyone else's pockets, and the people, are there to suffer, right? That's just common. Okay, so I think last time I was in Haiti was 2018, and that's when like a lot of protests were really starting. Okay,
Okay,
and
are they protesting the then president?
at first, they said it was due to gas prices, the increase in gas prices. But where I was staying, I was talking to the gentleman where I was staying. He's like, that's BS, because gas prices have risen really high in Haiti before, and it's never been a problem. The real issue was trying to get the president, right, out of power. So,
yeah. All right. So this isn't just something that suddenly sprung up. Let's assassinate this president. This has been boiling for a while, and there's even been challenges as to he should have stepped down in February.
right.
His 5 years should have been up. So there's some things, there's some issues. It's not just something that just suddenly sprung up.
Right. So there's a group called the Haitian elites.
Okay.
Now everybody,
they're literally called the Haitian elites.
well, they're elitist. Okay, and they pretty much reside on in a certain area of Haiti. It's like Port-au-Prince is broken down almost like three sections. You have Port-au-Prince, you have Delmas, and then on top of the hill you have Paytonsville. Okay, now Paytonsville is named after the third president of Haiti. He was I think his name was Pétain, right? Okay. So he was a mulatto guy, half black, half white, and that's what the people look like up in Paytonsville. They're half black, half white. So when, like, if you were to see some of them, even like the Haitian elites, you would never think for 1 minute that they were Haitian. You might think they might be like Dominican or maybe from a different country. You see, but the media would never ever show you that. Would never show you that. So, like, you see the former president that was just assassinated. When you think of Haiti or Haitians, that's what you would think of, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right? A dark skin African descendant.
Right.
But in Paytonsville, that's not the case.
Wow. And I'm assuming the people in Paytonsville are the ones that exploit the natural resources of Haiti instead of
they pretty much control what goes on. So it was almost between 90 and 120 days that there would be a protest. Okay, and the Haitian elites would call these gang members. Okay, be like, hey, this is what we want to stage. We want to get this. We want this president removed. Okay, so that's their way of applying pressure, right? A protest to get the president to step down. A lot of other presidents of Haiti or even people below the president have actually stepped down. Okay, just through the protest. Okay, now that when they were protesting, that was their agenda, to have him step down. Okay, now like I said, that happens like every 90 to 120 days. Okay, so this has been going on for some time in Haiti, right? For some time.
And the people are programmed to it coming and
right. They'll get a phone, like the elites will call like the gang members, and the gang members, on WhatsApp, they'll put whatever out to like the people and get them organized, and there'll be massive protests all through Port-au-Prince. I mean, they're huge, right?
And these people are basically, these are the average people in Haiti. The average person lives on like less than $2 a day.
Correct.
So organizing a group to protest, no matter what their beliefs are, all you got to do is spread a little money, and that makes that happen.
Possibly, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that you have to consider.
Okay.
But they have these protests. A lot of times, they shoot the police shoot back. So it's pretty hectic. It's kind of crazy, right? So That's the way that they say, hey, you know what, you need to step down, and that's the polite way. See what I'm saying? Now that they're basically saying, okay, look, we can do things the easy way, we can do them the hard way.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the easy way was for them just to protest, right, to get his attention, say, you know what, you need to step down because of X, Y, and Z. So obviously, the guy's like, well, I'm not stepping down. Right. I'm gonna stay here until my term is finished. And of course, our government backed him, you know, on the terms. But obviously, the Haitian people didn't see it that way.
Right.
Right. So next comes, but there was a plot to assassinate him back in February, and it was stopped. It was thwarted. So he kind of knew that, you know, that eventually they were gonna come for him. But I just don't think that he thought that it was actually gonna occur. Now, let's fast forward to today, the assassination of the president of today, and everyone. When I heard it, I was like, okay, this obviously is coming from the inside. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay, that's the president's house. He's supposed to have security like crazy. so something like this doesn't happen.
Right.
Right. I don't know what happened with the security, but anyway, they went to the house. They went directly. They found his room, his bedroom, shot him and his wife.
Right.
And then to make the situation worse, they got out with like no one even shooting at them, no one even stopping them. Like, how does that happen?
Yes.
All this security here. So that right there automatically is telling me that that's what we call an insider threat attack, right? Somebody on the inside has given someone some information or a whole lot of information. Hey, look, he's sleeping here. This is the best way to get in. This is the best way to get out.
All the guards will be in a location well away from when and where this all happens.
Right.
You won't be impeded at all.
Right.
In your insertion or egress.
Right. Ingress or egress routes, you know, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, wait a second. Normally, there would be a pretty big firefight. You know,
yeah,
there's a pretty big firefight. You know, if your security, if the president house is coming under attack, your security forces, you know, should be, his PSD should be, you know, ready to, you know, engage that threat. But it didn't happen that way. And then the other issues I have, one, they talked about the people saying, oh, they're DEA, and I was like, oh, they're definitely not DEA. DEA doesn't do operations like that. So, and the other thing was that people were saying that they spoke in English and Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Now that could be anything. You know, you have a lot of Haitian Americans, okay, that have served in the military, you know, and maybe didn't like what he was trying to do. So maybe, you know, they knew somebody back, you know, whoever's trying to set it up and said, hey, you know what, we know your background, let us, you know, this is what we want done. Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing is you have to remember a lot of Haitians have lived in the Dominican Republic for an extended period of time, one for work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Haitians live and work in the Dominican Republic. So for them to come back and start speaking Spanish or, you know, something like that is actually pretty common, because like a lot of times, you know, when I'm in Haiti, because I speak Spanish, you know, I lived in the Dominican Republic. So right. The whole thing about it is like, because I don't speak Creole, a lot of times I found Haitians that actually spoke Spanish because they lived in the Dominican Republic. And that was one of the ways I had to communicate, because otherwise sometimes I'd be out of luck.
Yeah.
So, you know, people have to realize that, you know, a lot of those Haitians have lived and worked in the Dominican Republic, and they come back. So who's to sit there and say that, you know, maybe those weren't some of the gang members, you know, that possibly had lived in the DR and then come back, and then were trained by whomever. You don't know. I mean, there's a couple possibilities with that. Okay, that could be reasonable.
For those that don't know, the Dominican Republic is the eastern half of the island, and Haiti is the western half, and they share a landmass.
Right, right. The entire landmass is called Hispaniola. Right,
Hispaniola.
right. So, like you said, the eastern side of the island is the Dominican Republic, and the western side of the island is the Haitian side. So, and even
so it would be easy to go back and forth as far as work and using all the languages that are utilized on the island.
right. So it's gonna be Spanish, right, and Creole. Those are your two primary languages.
Mm-hmm.
And then to get into Haiti, like when you're traveling by bus to get into Haiti, you come to the border. I'm not sure now, but before, you had to get off the bus, present, your passport, they stamp it, and then they let you through. Okay. I don't know what they do now. Okay. But then when I was there, that's pretty much how things worked. And for these guys to make escape, it's possible they could have gone to the port or to the beach, got on a boat and went somewhere, or maybe they're still in Haiti, just laying low.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times that's what the bad guys do. Everyone thinks they're going far away, but a lot of times they just hide in plain sight. No one can. It's not like anyone can really ID them.
Right.
So
right.
Would you stay in the country, or would you go far away? It's a matter of like apples and oranges. It's a 50-50 shot. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people really understand that. But
if you stay close, you're going to have more potential assets, but you're going to have more potential risk. If you take off, you're going to be more alone, but not as much risk.
Right. So right. And the thing about it is you go into a different country, you better have the proper documentation, right? Because eventually that stuff catches up with you, and in whatever country you go to, they're going to be looking for you. Right. So maybe some of these guys had fake passports, something like that. So if they did go to a different country, they're really not going to get stopped, which I've seen numerous times. A lot of these people get fake passports, and they look really legit. They look very legitimate, and they actually work. And they a lot of times they get through. But I'm like this. I'm like, well, I hope they have visas for these countries, because you being a Haitian or whatever country you come from, a lot of these countries require people to have visas. So you have to understand, maybe this stuff, this is pretty well thought out and planned. And so, hey, here's your passport with the visa to this country. Get up out of here. Here's a bag of money, whatever, and you're gone. So it's kind of like that.
Okay. What happens from here? People, I've got some friends who have friends that are missionaries in Haiti, and they're really concerned about their well-being. Well, is it going to be violence until somebody takes over?
Here's the thing. The reason they held those protests was they wanted that president out.
Mm-hmm.
He's out now.
Okay.
Right. So to me, that I wouldn't think there'd be a whole lot of violence, because they achieved their objective.
Right.
So I mean, Haiti, like I said, Haiti's always been a violent place. It really has. And I don't know where your missionary friends are currently. I don't know, but like Port-au-Prince and that Delmas and Paytonsville have always been, especially Port-au-Prince and Delmas, those are like really, those are kind of violent areas. If something kicks off, it's going to kick off in those two places.
Okay.
And then maybe it'll travel up, up north to Paytonsville, and then maybe go around the rest of the country, like Cap Haitian or somewhere like that. But normally, it normally just stays right there in Port-au-Prince. Okay. So I don't know where your friends are, but if they're outside that area, they'll be okay. But if they're inside Port-au-Prince, it's touchy. You know, it's touch and go.
Okay.
It's one of those things.
All right. And anything you want to add? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, it's just, you know, the fact that the Haitian elites control what goes on inside Haiti, and they just proved it. But see, a lot of people don't even understand like how that even works. You know, everyone's thinking, okay, the president this, and then you have the vice president, or you know, the prime minister, whomever else. But see, they don't understand. Okay, look, there's a ruling class here, all right, that pretty much dictates what happens. And as you can see, through the protests and through the assassination, the elites pretty much achieved their objective.
And I think I think you're right. I think the vast majority of our viewers will have no idea that that's how things actually work there. How far away are we in America from that happening to us?
You know what?
We're trying to do that.
You know what? Let me. Have you heard anything about the Arizona audit at all? Because you know, that's actually been kind of quiet, and I'm like, why? Like, you're not hearing it. You're not hearing a whole lot about it.
No, the big thing now on there is the upcoming internet will be done away with. There won't be any internet anymore. Microsoft's going to vanish, and the only programming is going to be one channel 24 hours a day. How great Trump is, and how great America will be, and the world will be with Trump as the leader of the world.
Okay.
Oh, and also that Elvis, Michael Jackson, Princess Di, who else? John F. Kennedy Jr. and somebody else are all in witness protection because they know too much.
Well, say that again.
Let's see. It's John F. Kennedy Jr., Elvis, Michael Jackson, Princess Di, and I was thinking there was one other. They're all in witness protection because they knew too much too early.
Okay.
And this is going to be, you know, the more awoke people become, the more acceptable it'll be for them to come out of their witness protection programs.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Now my thing is, they put stuff like this out just so that most of us won't pay attention to the rest of the stuff they're trying to do. I think this is a big money grab scam. I think they're trying to manipulate foreign currency and get suckers to buy that same foreign currency that they tell them to buy after the elite have already bought it, to push the value up. The elite pull out, and the suckers are left with devalued investments.
Yeah, and you know what? That's very true. That's not the first time I've heard that either. You know,
really? Okay.
You're like maybe the fifth person I've heard that from. So
I feel like I'm in good company then, and I'm
so there's validity, you know, in definitely what you're saying. So,
and they're trying to get people believers. They're trying to get believers to a point where they will act. These people that consider themselves patriots will act and do the elite's bidding, because the elite aren't going to do it. They're just trying to push others to do it, and they simply don't have enough yet, or they would have tried something already.
Right, exactly. That's a very valid point, Barry. Very valid point.
All right. Okay. Anything else I wanted to toss out about that? Yeah, the fact that we need to talk about this kind of stuff so that the American people will see that it is happening and it is potential, and we don't get to the point where we accept it. You know,
right. Because you know, here's the thing. You know, with that Arizona audit, okay. If let's just say hypothetically, it came back and, they said, Trump actually won Arizona. Right? What do you think he's going to sit there and say to his people? Huh? What do you think he's going to sit there and say to his people?
What do I think Trump's going to say to his people?
Yeah, what do you think Trump's going to say to his base?
He's going to say, let's, I should be president. Let's take it back. Let's do it now.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's that going to lead up to?
A lot of people are going to be killed simply because they've been following an illusion.
Yeah. So, just
I think it's going to, and I've said this on other programs, or not on other programs, but on other episodes here. I think when the violence kicks off, it's going to be conservative white against either the military or against liberal white. And it's not going to be a white and black thing when it actually kicks off.
Right. And it's going to be, like you said, the conservative whites against the liberal whites, and possibly the military, because they're back in,
yeah. And one of my other guests said, it's going to be up to the black community to save our country. And if it kicks off the way we're talking about it kicking off, what the black community does is going to be pivotal.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm hoping this is all speculation and just, talk and nothing ever happens, but there's too many people talking.
Yeah. Well, I like to say some things about certain demographics.
Yeah.
And I'm a realist.
Right.
I'm not one of these people that's blindly optimistic, nor am I, a pessimist.
Right.
I'm a realist. Right. And I do know for a fact that certain demographics can't take care of their own communities. Okay. So how in the hell are you gonna how are you gonna be able to do anything for this country? Right now to fight, okay, you have to be in shape. Okay, the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's all this stuff of high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney disease, all this stuff, cardiovascular disease permeates in certain demographics, communities, because they don't work out. But furthermore, right, certain demographics lack one, leadership, organization, economics, okay, strategy, organizational just strategy. So it's going to be because they've never done this stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's going to be hard for that demographic to sit there and save anyone, let alone themselves. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Listen, I have to be very realistic and very truthful with what I'm seeing.
That's why I brought it up, because I knew you would.
Right, and I don't know if you saw the was that the Tulsa March,
mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the people that were there marching. And I'm like, okay, so this is going to be the group that's going to be fighting. Like, no, no, this is not a fighting force whatsoever. Okay, it's just there for show. Okay, they're not gonna be about any action. Okay, they're not. Like I said, it's just for show. Certain groups of people like to be seen. Okay, and like to run the spout off at the mouth. But when something really goes down, do you really think they're gonna get into it? 9 times out of 10, they're not. And like I said, I have to be realistic, mm-hmm. because a lot of the other demographics, okay, like you said, maybe the white conservatives. You have to keep in mind, a lot of those guys, the white conservatives, have strong military and police backgrounds. Okay, a lot of those guys come out of special operation forces. Like some of the guys might come out of SEALs or special forces or Marine recon or Marine Raiders. Okay. Now keep in mind, these are counter-terrorists, right? For the most part, they do counterinsurgency and everything else. So they're pretty much experts on insurgency. You see?
Yeah.
And you said the other demographics, they're not ready for that. They've never experienced it. They've never done anything like that.
Right.
Okay. So what do you do when one demographic says, "Oh, we can fight and this and that," but the other that other demographics, right? They have sniper instructors. Okay. They have ways of cutting off infrastructure, right? So you don't get water or food, right?
Yeah, power communications.
Right. Okay. Now, what about because some of those guys are domestic terrorists, right? So what are you going to do when they start planning vehicle-borne IEDs and just IEDs in your neighborhood? How are you going to prevent that? How are you going to stop it? You don't even have that knowledge. You see, and this is what certain demographics don't understand. This goes down. This is going to be real.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be, we're shooting our guns for a day or whatever. No, this is a long sustained campaign. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that. Okay. And all the military tactics that, that these guys know, people in certain demographics don't even know anything about that. I mean, certain ones do, but not the majority. And you've seen at the Capitol who was getting arrested. A lot of police officers, a lot of military people. And those are the ones that have that knowledge, as opposed to the ones in other demographics that don't have the knowledge. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So like I said, I'm not. It's not a put down to anyone.
No, you're just being real with what you see.
Right. Like I said, I'm not blindly optimistic. I'm not pessimistic, but you have to be realistic.
Absolutely.
You really do. And if, a lot of times people are delusional with what they can achieve, and sometimes I see that with certain demographics. It's like, okay, wait a second. You don't have this knowledge. You don't have the organization. You don't have the leadership. You don't have the strategy to defeat these people because you've never done this. You're not at that level yet.
Playing checkers while everybody else is playing chess.
Playing chess. There you go. There you go.
All right, man. Thank you so much. It's always interesting talking with you.
I appreciate you having me on, Bear. I truly do, man. I love being on your show.
I always learn something, and I really enjoy talking with you and hearing your perspective on things. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for having me on your show once again. It's greatly appreciated.
We'll be back and we'll do it again sometime real soon, Chris.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much, Bear.
Until then, it is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. It is a dark world. Do be a light. Until next time, I love you all. Peace. Namaste. Shalom. Salam. Be well. Blessings upon all.